Hi, this is Billy Earl on Del Marvelous Americana, here on beautiful Pac 14 in downtown Salisbury. We are honored today to have guests from U.S. Kennels. In fact, this is going to be a monthly show for a nonprofit that pairs a rescue dog with either a veteran or a first responder who needs a support system. As a matter of fact, we have personal experience, my lovely bride and I do, because our little dog, better known as Mushy Gushy, not a common name, we don't get mixed up very often with anybody else, was trained there, and she is just a sparkling example of what can happen when a dog is professionally trained. Now, what's going to happen here is we're going to talk about U.S. Kennels, and we've got a couple of very special guests here who you'll see later, so do not turn that dial. Let me do some introductions first. And again, this is a nonprofit here in Salisbury. Dan Atkinson is the head dog trainer for U.S. Kennels. Dan, thank you for coming. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Chris Hardy is the grand poobah of U.S. Kennels. He is a veteran, as both of these men are, and I would say almost everybody who's in your program is. And then, of course, we have the lovely Linda Lou, who is going to be your host in this program. And me, I am simply fodder for the media machine known as Pac 14. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. I know you guys are really busy because your job never really stops.
Never stops.
Tell us a little bit, if you will, about U.S. Kennels and why this is important to people who need this help.
Okay. Well, like I say, my name is Chris Hardy. I'm the executive director and founder of U.S. Kennels. We, like you said earlier, we're a nonprofit, 501c3.
Yeah.
We officially started in 2017. We're at the Holly Center here in Salisbury, Maryland, building 900. I came about this because I've handled K9 in the military, overseas, and just taking the dogs through some of the field hospitals around other veterans soldiers. I've seen the reaction between the dogs and the service members. So that kind of got me interested in doing the service dog part. When I got out, they put me 100% total permanent disability, so kind of felt kind of useless. But I wanted to give back to my brothers and sisters, and of course, like I say, my specialty has always been working with canines.
You had a very special skill set.
It picked me. I didn't pick it. The dogs picked me, which is a good thing. So when everything was done and over with, we started U.S. Kennels, nonprofit, and one of our main missions as far as U.S. Kennels goes is we're trying to give two things second chances. We get 95% of our dogs from rescues. It could be humane societies, be animal control, private rescues.
That's great.
We don't breed discriminate. A lot of people ask, well, what breeds do you use? We got everything from pit bulls to Yorkies to Danes to Labs. Depending on the service member or the disabled veteran's disability is what we pair them up with. Every once in a while we might get a breeder donate a puppy or two, but we try to stay with the rescues. So we're giving the rescue dogs a second chance, and then when we pair them up with our veterans or first responders, we're giving them a second chance at life too. So we're trying to save two things at once. What a
great mission.
Yeah, we try, and thanks to the public and the community as far as donating, sponsoring, helping out, doing fundraisers, because that's how we survive.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it.
Now you guys have a Facebook page, don't you?
We do.
Everybody out there, go to the Facebook page for U.S. Kennels. There's a donate button on there.
That's correct.
Hit it 8 times, each time giving slightly more money, and we will mail you something of value sometime, maybe.
But yeah, so it's been we made it through COVID. Of course,
Yeah.
COVID put a hurting on everyone. They shut us down for a year, but when the restrictions started lifting, we came back stronger than ever. I think, Dan, we got probably about 28?
Yes, sir.
About 28 teams training.
Training right now, and four on standby.
Yep, 4 waiting for dogs. And
Oh, okay. Backlog.
so a new thing that we started, actually this past year, we started taking on first responders, because before we were just strictly
Right.
veterans. And I've been wanting to take on first responders for a while now, because they have a dire need too.
Same thing.
They've gone through a lot themselves. So last year, we actually had our first responder graduate. So we started taking on that, and of course, it kind of doubled mine and Dan's workload, but they need it as well. So we've taken on them, and we've gotten quite a few of them going on board now. So.
Excellent.
Well,
Lynn?
Dan, tell me about your history, how you and Chris became acquainted.
So, right after the Gulf War, Chris and I were in the same military police unit, and we served together as military police officers. And once I retired in 2014 from the United States Army, I was suffering 100% from PTSD. And my counselor gave me a number for an organization that helped train service dogs. So I contacted the organization, and I made it. The name didn't click with me, Chris Hardy. It did not click. But as soon as I got out of my vehicle in the parking lot at U.S. Kennels and I saw him, I almost busted out crying. It was just absolutely, I was very anxious to go there to begin with. Nervous, not knowing. But as soon as I saw him, my heart melted, and I was like, oh my God. It was like we never missed a beat. I mean, it was just perfect.
Right.
And from the day I started training until I graduated, until this day, I've been at U.S. Kennels ever since, and I never left. And I feel sorry for Chris for that. and I have no plans on leaving. But I did serve 25 years in the United States Army. I was a military
Thank you.
police officer and a cavalry scout. I served in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Afghanistan, and Iraq.
Wow.
Thank you for
Thank you for your
My
service.
pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Hardy,
Yeah.
tell us how this dream became a reality. What was the first? I know you said you wanted to give back because obviously you are a serviceman, but how did you come up with this plan? Did you you woke up one morning and said, I'm going to do this, or something must have caught your attention?
Well, it started when I started seeing the reaction between the dogs and people was in Afghanistan. There's you're gonna make me cry.
Oh.
There's a little, she's maybe like a year and a half, 2 years old, baby in the field hospital, and she got blown up IED, and from like her shoulders up, I mean, burnt bad. So I had one of our dogs I was walking through, and she started reaching out towards the dog. And the nurse says, oh, bring him over. And then the baby just started laughing, grabbing the dog's ears. And then a couple doctors went running out of the room. Like 2 minutes later, they came running back in with like 3 or 4 other people. And I'm like, I crossed the line, I'm sorry. But long story short, they told me that, when this baby came in, even in the condition she came in, never laughed, never cried, didn't speak. I mean, just a blank sheet of paper. And then seeing the reaction, and the doctors and the officers seeing the reaction between the dogs and the baby, that's when I knew my calling. That's kind of like
the magic moment.
and eye opener. Then, like I said, when I got back, and so it sat in my back in my head for about a year or so.
Okay.
And then, the VA put me 100% total and permanent, so I couldn't work. So I knew what I had to do, and so that's what got me starting up U.S. Kennels.
What was the first dog you rescued? Do you recall?
Oh,
To pair with a veteran?
I think, believe it or not, was a pit bull.
Yeah.
The dog's name's Chief, and we got him from the Wicomico Humane Society, and they called me, and they're like, because they knew what I was doing. They said, oh, we got this beautiful dog, it's very nice, and went in and looked at it. I ain't gonna lie, I was a little nervous because Chief's head was like this big. I mean, he was just a tank, and he was a big guy. Sweetest dog ever. Sweetest dog ever. So matter of fact, I think the first couple were pit mixes. But then from there, we just, we got endless supply of dogs and endless supply of veterans and first responders.
So, Dan, you and Chris go to the rescue and you see a dog that looks like it might be fit for someone. So, how do you decide that this dog is trainable?
We do an evaluation. Of course, the shelters already do an evaluation.
Okay.
But Chris and I will do our own personal evaluation based on service dog qualities. And, of course, we're checking for aggressiveness, we're checking for timidness, guarding of food, it's called resource guarding. If it's available, be around children, other animals. So there's a lot of a process that we go through. And it's basically an emotional evaluation for the dog to see how the dog deals with emotional challenges. If they're minor, something that, maybe it's just due to the lack of socialization with other animals, it's a little timid around other animals, we can work with that. It just takes a little bit longer, but especially for older dogs or dogs that have constantly been in the shelters or in cages or something like that. So we just take certain things in consideration. As long as there's no true aggression, we can usually work with that dog, because we want that dog to find a home just as much as the shelter does.
Right.
And we want our veterans and first responders to have this resource for them that will help change their lives and give them purpose again and give them a mission again, because that's what first responders and veterans do. We have to have a mission. We have to have a purpose, and this will help them. Even if it's something as small as you can't take a toy away from a dog that growls at you or something like that. We can fix that. We can train that out of the dog and teach it that it's okay to give something up.
This is basically for you all out in the audience, who are considering donations. Training these dogs is a great deal more expensive than I think most people have any idea.
Yes.
If a person was to go out to get a service dog or to purchase a service dog, the average cost for your basic service dog is anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000.
Good Lord.
And if you go to get an eye-seeing dog, it's going to be up there even higher.
How do people afford that?
Especially veterans on disability.
Yeah.
So with us, with the help from the public, the community, plus with me and Dan doing all the training aspect of it, it costs U.S. Kennels anywhere from $14,000 to $20,000. So it's a little cheaper. But that's, once again, me and Dan doing the training.
Yeah.
So if a veteran or first responder comes to our program and they get a dog from us, it costs them absolutely nothing while the dog's in the program. U.S. Kennels pays for dog food, the vet bills, the equipment, the training. We've had a couple dogs that went home and swallowed socks. $5,000 later, surgery. It happens. But they're fine. They're all good. But these are some of the things that people don't realize. A bag of dog food for us is $58. You might as well say almost $60. And so we got 28 dogs in the program right now. So we give them a bag. A month and a half, depending on the size of the dog. So just dog food alone adds up quick.
Right.
And they're all hungry.
They're all hungry.
Oh gosh.
But it gets up there in price wise. So, but for our veterans and first responders, while they're in the program, costs them absolutely nothing.
This is a subject actually that's very close to my heart because my son was in Iraq and has he's been evaluated by the VA and he has I think a sliding scale of 7 on a scale of 10 PTSD, but he absorbed this message from the Marine Corps that real Marines don't get PTSD. So he's never gotten any medical care, he's never gotten any therapy. And it's manifested itself in problems at work and problems with his marriage and problems with his family. You guys must see an awful lot of that.
We go through it ourselves.
Not only have we seen it, we have gone through it. because it's a stigma with the military, all military.
Oh, yeah.
All military, because we're supposed to be strong. You know, nothing's supposed to phase us, but we are human beings. And I believe no matter what you've gone through in your life, when you need help, it takes more strength to ask for it
Amen.
than it does to go through whatever you've ever gone through before. Because
Amen.
that stigma that you're, oh, you know, suck it up, you know, drive on, just do your mission, keep going, keep going. And for me, as the person that I was, for me to ask for help, I felt like I was lesser of a person and that I was a sissy, and I'm not, you know. And with the support of my family, my kids, my wife, you know, they're like, hey, you there's something really, you need help.
Yeah.
And because I love them more than I do myself, I said, okay, I will do this, you know.
That's a great way to
I
put
asked
it.
for it, and I got it, and I thank God every day that I'm alive. I wish my brother committed suicide, you know, Iraqi veteran, committed suicide because of PTSD. So, and I know what it's like to go through that pain and go through that, you know, that terrible time in your life when you lose somebody because they thought they were too strong or that they would have been looked down upon for asking for help.
You know, that's such an important message for people to hear.
I
Both
believe
veterans
so.
and
and
you
first
know,
responders.
well, them and, you know, just civilians.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of times we don't understand what you're going through.
Yeah.
We have not walked in your shoes.
Only they know what they're going through, and if it's so bad that their life is, you know, if they're having turmoil in their inner self, if there's turmoil there, then you need help. Just go talk to somebody, and it doesn't have to be a professional counselor or
Yeah.
something like that. You don't have to be put on medication, but if you don't talk about it, you don't release those feelings, and if they build up and build up and build up, your brain takes over, and then your emotions take over, and some people just can't handle it, and so the last, you know, resort for them is to take their own lives, or switch to drugs, or switch to alcohol. I've been fighting alcoholism for years, but because of everything that I do now, and because of my involvement with U.S. Kennels, I've been able to cut back. I can't say I totally quit, but I've been able to cut back,
Right.
and I've been able to go back to school. You know, I'm working.
Good for you.
I'm working on, you know, advancing my knowledge in animal behavior, and because I'm sober, I'm able to focus better. I'm able to move on, and hopefully Chris and, you know, everybody at the U.S. Kennels is proud of me for being able to do this at 55 years old.
Yep.
You know, and it's very important to me. Everything about U.S. Kennels, and I do not get paid. I'm a volunteer, just as Chris is. Neither one of us get paid. So my passion for this is true passion. It's
Oh, yeah.
not for the dollar.
I get it.
I actually, me and him should have became a social worker or psychologist, but but you know, he was talking about, you know, just talking to someone, and Dan can vouch for it, he's in the same boat, is that you know, the support, I don't want to say support group, but the support we have for each other within the program, even after they graduate, you know. And I'm probably speaking for Dan too, but my reward, and I'm pretty sure his too, you know, I've had veterans call me at 2:30 in the morning, and Chris, I'm sitting here with a gun in my hand. Of course, I'm on the phone going, wait, Chris, I'm all right. My dog came over, put his head in my lap, and saved my life. And he's had, I'm pretty sure, quite a few phone calls, you know, same situation. We get people call, and that's the thing, another service that we can provide. Like I said, you know, a lot of times we don't need meds, we don't need a doctor. We just need someone, and me and Dan's been, I think we're our biggest support group right here.
Well, listen.
Because
Yeah.
we call, you know, and the veterans and first responders in the program, same way. They can call us anytime, day or night, and, you know, hey, Chris, I just need to talk. We've had veterans come in to do a lesson. You know, Dan, you know, I just had a bad night. I'm not doing good today.
I'm just not feeling it. Well, no problem. We'll just sit here and
You
talk.
know what? We'll,
Okay.
Let's
We'll
go
hang out.
Let's go
Look
for a
here,
ride.
Here's a ball for your dog. Let your dog run around, act silly. You know what? Let me bring another dog in. Let your dog have fun. Let today be a play date, and you and I'll just sit here and, you know, tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, if I can help you with something, or if I can find you a resource, I'll find you a resource. But if it's just an everyday thing, oh, my plumbing broke and I don't know how to fix it. You know what? Let's talk about that, and we'll, by the end of this session, we'll find a way to get it fixed. We'll fix it. Like Chris said, we're not counselors by no means. We're human beings, and we're compassionate, And sometimes that helps.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the everyday lay person, that if you just have somebody that just sits there and listens, you know, and it's real. It's not psychological stuff. It's just, hey, tell me, how's your life? What's going on? And it's just more relaxing and calming.
And it's easy for them to talk to us because we can relate to each other.
Yeah.
Because you know, we've all been in the same boat or similar, or you know, so we can understand. So the trust is there. And what I like about U.S. Kennels also is that it's a safe place for them. You know, because our job, mine and Dan's job, main job, is get them from their house back into the community, back living again. You know, instead of isolating, you know, 24/7, we start off getting them at the U.S. Kennels lessons, then we go into the community, so we kind of gradually break them back into society as well, of course, along with the dogs.
Yeah.
The dogs help them out with that.
I remember when I first became involved with you all, we had, I think, a board meeting, and the discussion was you had a bunch of the veterans that you were taking to a mall, and why that was so important, because many of them didn't get out and go anywhere on a regular basis and needed, you know, this group of people to be, you know, out there.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing that, you know, civilians are just completely unaware of.
Oh, we've had veterans in a program who literally have not been out of their house in years. I'm talking about, I got one veteran in our program, for example, he stays in his house. Walmart, he gets Walmart, his groceries and stuff delivered to his house. Food, if he wants to eat out, delivered to his house. But now he's out in the community, he's going shopping, he's going camping. So, you know, that's, and it's just not me and Dan taking credit for it, it's the dogs. Because with the dogs, you got to take them for a walk. You got to take them outside. So it starts off on the gradual. It's not like we're going to throw them in the boardwalk on 4th of July weekend. It's gradual.
I wouldn't do that to my worst enemy.
We won't do
that. But like as Chris is saying, the way the program is designed, and this is by, I believe it's by happenstance, because when we first started, we were clueless on how to do all this. But as we've progressed, we figured out a way, because the clients that we have, you know, the veterans and first responders, they don't realize that, you know, all right, I have to come 1 hour a week to train my dog. All right. So when they first begin, they can get away with isolating themselves, but as they progress through the program, we're able to tell, because they literally have to take their dogs to out in the community, out in public, because that's part of the testing part, that your dog's able to go out in public, walk through crowds, go up steps, go in an elevator. You know, there's progression to it, and we were able to tell if they're still isolating or not just by the dog's reaction when we take them out in public. So if the dog is very skittish of something, it's telling me that veteran or first responder has not been taking the dog out to do its homework. You know, so that they're forced to do it. Subconsciously, they're not thinking about that. They're thinking, I want my dog to pass. I want my dog to accomplish something. I want the end result over here. Right? But to get there, I've got to make a little bit of a sacrifice. And that's what's so great about our service dogs, is the person that is our client, they're willing to make that sacrifice for a living animal, so which makes them feel better.
Gets them a little motivated.
It's motivator, because I have a mission.
Where do most of your first responders come from?
We have mainly we got police officers, we got firefighters, we got EMTs or paramedics, and I think we've had one or two, or at least one dispatcher.
We have a nurse.
A nurse. So any first responder field, you know, we can take.
And understand, just because we say first responders does not mean that you have a police officer out there that's suffering from PTSD so bad that they have to have a service dog.
Right.
Because that would be absolutely horrible.
Right.
It's not conducive to his job.
Yeah.
But these are ones that have had to retire medically, or have been injured, or, you know, whatever. We do have a first responder that did have a job, but it was because of his condition, it was desk duty or in an office, which is perfectly acceptable, because service dogs in that kind of environment, that's perfect. They're still able to do their job, but their dog was there.
Okay.
So they were able to take it to work with them until they graduated and all. So that was a perfect opportunity for them. But so none of these first responders are actually at work, other than special cases here and there, are actually at work needing a service dog.
Tell us a little bit about your fundraising. I know that you go out of the area and different organizations have fundraisers for U.S. Kennels. Mm-hmm. And you also have a really cool camper van or something. So tell us.
Super cool.
Yeah.
A lot of our fundraisers, we've gone all the way up to Western Maryland, Delaware, Virginia, Frederick. So fundraisers, like our last one, we had Southbound Bowling Alley had a bowling tournament for us.
Oh yeah.
Right here in Salisbury.
Right here in Salisbury. We went up to Frederick, Maryland. It's an organization called Local Live, I think. Local Live. Well, they put on like a mini concert, and we went up to Frederick, Maryland, and they had 3 wonderful bands, had a good turnout. I think made like $11,000 or something like that.
And one night.
And then it goes all the way down just to a lot of your local clubs, the Moose, the Lions Club, VFW's, American Legion.
Even smaller one, the Berlin's Ladies Club?
Yeah, the Berlin's Ladies Club, Ocean Pines, Ladies, Ocean Pines Ladies Clubs. I'm sorry, ladies. Daughters of the American Revolution. So any organization, and we get a lot of organizations. Well, it's not a lot, but every little bit helps.
Oh yeah.
We get people come up, $20 is all I have. You know what? That's a rabies shot or microchip for our dogs. Mm-hmm. So every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. And I want to thank the community, so much for keeping us alive and supporting our wonderful organization. And but yeah, thank you guys so much.
Well, one little sidebar note, the event that you had, I think, over at the Moose Club, special shout out to the county executive and to Senator Carosa for their involvement and their support and their encouragement for this project. For those of you out in the audience, again, go to Facebook and donate to this cause. These are people that need the help, and they are so fortunate to have these wonderful dogs and to have these wonderful men to be there to train these dogs, to be supportive. We stand behind U.S. Kennels, and we hope that you do too.
We got a website too. Our website is www.uskennelsinc.org.
There you go. Folks, thank you for tuning in. This has been Billy Earl and Linda Lou here on Del Marvelous Americana. And as we say in Texas, adios.
My name is Chris, and today I got my service dog with me, Brody. We're actually a team. We've been together for about 4 years now. I got Brody when he was, I guess, about 4 months old. He's actually a Newfoundland. We actually paired up together. He's actually my service dog. So with service dog, one of their main things is that they have to perform a task for someone to be a service dog. So, for example, Brody, his task for me is for nightmares. A lot of times I'll have, if I'm having a nightmare, I start tossing, turning. So before it gets too bad, Brody will actually, if he's not in bed with me already, will jump up in bed, lay on top of me, and give me kisses. And basically what his job is to do is to wake me up before it gets too bad, or before the nightmare actually starts. So that would be considered a task that a service dog has to provide. By American Disability Act, the service dog has to perform one task. Sometimes we might do 2 tasks. For example, with Brody, like if I have anxiety, or if my PTSD starts kicking in, if I have anxiety, get stressed or depressed, what he'll do is he'll actually come up and comfort me. A lot of times if I'm speaking like this, if I start getting nervous, he'll actually come up and jump up on me and start giving me kisses. And that's just to refocus me back on him and to basically soothe and calm me back down to where I need to be. Birdie went through training for about 9 months. On average, it's about a year to train. From where I'm a dog trainer, it's a little shorter time. But yeah, me and Birdie's been together for about 4 years and still going strong.
My name's Dan Atkinson. This is my service dog, Gus. I've had Gus for 6 years now. Gus is not a rescue. When my wife first started noticing symptoms of PTSD, she thought it'd be best that she bought me Gus as a birthday present. So, as I said, Gus has been with me for 6 years. He is trained for seizure alert because due to my PTSD, my brain starts basically having a hiccup, which causes me to have seizures. Gus can tell I'm getting ready to have a seizure due to visual signs that I start to have. My hands will start shaking. I'll just stop acting correctly. Sometimes I just stop mid-sentence and because my brain just stops, and he'll notice that and he will start barking or nudging me to try to bring me out of it. In the event of a seizure, Gus will literally lay on top of me and lick my face. It is the only time that he will lick somebody, is when I am on the floor having a seizure. He's an absolutely amazing dog. This is it. This is what you get. He doesn't get too excited, which is perfect for a service dog. He doesn't react. He's absolutely the most gentle dog I've ever had in my life. He doesn't worry about other dogs. He only worries about me. And if you can see right here, he is right here. He doesn't go anywhere without me, and his focus is always on me. I used to be on tons and tons of medication from psychiatrists in the VA, but since I've had Gus, I've been able to cut that in half. There's a saying here that we have at US Kennels that there's no better medicine than a dog, and that is the absolute. It's a testimony to the power of service dogs for those dealing with handicaps, mental issues, PTSD. And I hope that if anybody out there that sees this is in need of services such as psychiatry or a service dog, and you qualify for our program, contact us. Thank you.